Hello guys and welcome to Channel X24. Today we're going to be talking about sea kayaking gear. I'm going to be showing you each piece of gear that I'm currently using. That's all coming up next on Channel X24. Alright, so probably the most useful piece of gear you can have for kayaking is a paddle. Otherwise you're not really going to be getting anywhere. So this is the paddle that I use. It's made by Decathlon. And it's a two-piece carbon fiber paddle, and it's got an adjustable angle of attack. So it's really nice. The carbon fiber keeps the weight down, and then the paddle here is polymer reinforced with glass fiber. So it's really tough, you know, nice and lightweight. I think this was a little bit more on the expensive side. It wasn't super expensive, but I think it's a good idea to invest in a good quality paddle. You know, because you're going to be using it over time and it's your interface with the water, so you don't want it to be too heavy and you want it to suit your needs. This is a really good paddle because it's actually adjustable, so you've got two adjustments on the paddle itself. You can flip this latch down here and then you can actually adjust the length of the paddle, and it adjusts all the way from 211 centimeters out to 219 centimeters. So you've got that adjustment there. And then you can actually change the angle of attack of the blades, like this. So they adjust right the way around 360 degrees, and it has a little gauge on the side there so you can see what angle you're at. And that's really useful if you're paddling into wind or something and you don't want the wind to affect your paddle when it's up in the air. You can adjust that angle of attack there and get it just right to what you want. Overall, I really like the design of this paddle. It's just generally this black with the grey and then the orange paint on there, and the carbon fiber just looks really nice. It's got these splash guards on the end here which reduce the amount of water that's coming off the blade and coming down onto your hands, which is nice. And overall it's just a really nice quality paddle. Alright, next let's talk about another paddle. Now this is one I've made myself. This is a paddle made of some old scrap pine wood that I had, and then it's been epoxy coated. This is what I call this a push-off paddle because it's got this big flat end on here that can really take a beating, and you can kind of use that for pushing off rocks and things and pushing off into the water, which is really good so you don't scuff up your normal paddle, which is nice. It's just a single bladed paddle, but it works pretty well. It's, you know, still pretty nice and lightweight because it's light pine. And it's got this hexagonal kind of grip, so you get a really good purchase on the paddle, as well as the T-handle on the end. This is the kind of paddle you generally be using for canoeing, but having a second paddle on your kayak is really useful. In case you get into some trouble, you lose your main paddle, you want to be able to get back to shore somehow. So having a secondary paddle is really useful. And plus, just having a paddle that it can take a bit of a beating, can kind of save your paddle from getting a beating when it's going onto rocks and things like that. Yeah, I keep this on the front of my kayak most of the time, and it's pretty good. Alright, you should never go kayaking without one of these. This is a PFD, a buoyancy aid, useful piece of kit. This one is made by Crusader. It's a phase 2. I think it's designed for sort of dinghy sailing, but it's a general kind of water sports jacket, and it works really well for kayaking. No issues with it. I like the design of it, pretty nice, and it's very easy to get on and off, very quick. You've basically got a big buckle here that you can adjust, get it fitting really nice, and then you've got this big zipper here with this flexible neoprene, and that comes over, you can zip that up. And it's got a bit of Velcro that goes over here, and then you can do the buckle up, like that. It's got this pocket on the front here which is useful for keeping your phone in or something like that, and make sure it's a waterproof phone though. So that's nice, and then inside there's a little kind of mesh compartment inside there that you can keep things in. There's also a little carabiner style thing inside here that you can attach things to, which is really useful. So this is a 50 Newton buoyancy PFD. Yeah, it's pretty good. Definitely an essential piece of kit. Alright, next up, bilge pump. This one's made by Parm, and it's got this big flotation bit on the front here. Also acts as a good grip, and it's nice and bright orange, so you can really see it. I keep this on the front of my kayak. Bit here where you could attach a hose if you wanted to. It's got this nice big handle, nice big durable pump, and this is great if you get a good amount of water into your kayak. This is really good to quickly get that water out of there. It's a big high volume pump, and definitely a really useful and possibly essential item to have really when you're sea kayaking. The cool thing about this pump as well is that it's a dual action pump, so it'll pump water out of here both when you're pulling out on the pump and also pumping in. It'll pump water on both of those strokes, so it's pretty cool. Next, I always take one of these with me when I'm out on the boat or out kayaking, and this is a floating knife. It's got a stainless steel serrated blade, which also has a sharp bit on the end here. It's non-pointed, and it's got this cork handle that allows it to float, so it'll float like this in the water, which is pretty cool. It's got this really bright, super bright, really glows at night orange on the sheath, and it's also part of this line where you can actually clip multiple knives together because of the sheath system that the manufacturer is using here. It's got a little clip on the back here, so you can put it onto your PFD or onto your belt, which is pretty nice. Funnily enough, the blade itself does actually get rust on it, even though it's stainless, but you can usually just get that off really without too much of a problem. It's a pretty nice knife, always definitely very useful to have one of those of you whenever you're out on the boat. Alright, next piece of kit. This is a microfiber towel. This is super compact. It's made by Black Deer. Really inexpensive to buy with one of these. Comes in this little case, this little bag, which allows you to attach it to a backpack or something like that, and actually allows it to dry out a wee bit even when it's folded away. If we take it out here, we can see, it's a decent sort of towel-sized towel, and although it's very thin, because it's microfiber, it's super absorbent, so it'll do a decent job of drying you off. It's got this little clip on the end here, so you can attach it to things, maybe attach it to a tree or something to hang it up to dry, and it will dry a lot quicker than a standard towel because it's so thin. It's this nice grey colour, and pretty easy to store away, and definitely useful if you've just been out in the water, maybe you've got wet or something, and it doesn't take a lot of extra room to carry one of these towels, but it's super useful. And you can also take this with you when you're hiking or something like that, because it's just a super lightweight, ultra compact towel. The next item, probably one of the least expensive items on this list, is literally just a sponge. This is really useful, just a kind of car sponge, but great that you just dry off your kayak with this. It's really good. You can get water out that the pump maybe hasn't managed to get out. Just good for drying things off, cleaning things off. You cannot beat a sponge. Now this is the main pack I use, the main dry bag. It's got these straps here so you can sling it over your shoulder, as well as this handle on the top here. It just unclips, and then you go and stuff your stuff inside there. It's got a big capacity on this, and then you can just roll it down. And rolling this down keeps the water out, and this is absolutely waterproof. So this is really, needed for kayaking or going on a boat. Just make sure all your gear you need to keep dry is going to be kept dry. It's got this valve on here, and you can unscrew this and actually inflate the whole thing up just to get lots of air inside there, so it'll float real well. And then you've also got this handle on here which you can carry it around with. I put most of my gear in here, and it's really good. Luck Stone Outdoors dry bag, really cool. In addition to that dry bag, when I need it, I've also got these other bags. These are Hitor Hike bags. I've got these free. This red one here you can keep your first aid kit in. And then you've got this other small one here. Again, they just roll up and then clip. Just like that, simple as that. Really easy to get into. And they've got little carabiners on there so you can clip them to things. Super useful bags, 5 litres and 2 litres. And these are just, you know, super useful, inexpensive as well. It's made of PVC, so they're really durable. Now this thing is really a lifesaver. This is a folding trailer. Just fold it out like so. It's got a wee stand on the side, and then your kayak sits on top of here, and it's got wheels as well, big inflatable tires, and it just makes getting your kayak up and down the shore a whole lot easier. Alright, so let's talk about clothing now. This is my wetsuit. This is made by Yak, and this is specifically designed for kayaking. So as you can see here, it doesn't have any arms, so it leaves your arms exposed so you can kayak a lot easier. You're not going to get any chaffing or anything. Does mean that you can get sunburned badly, so make sure you wear sun cream if you're rocking one of these things. On the back here, you can see that it's where you sit, it's got this kind of grippy texture. That's just really good for when you're sitting in a kayak. It just gives you extra grip onto your seat, makes you extra secure, and then it's got a little bit of extra grip on the knee pads as well. So super good, super useful, keeps you nice and warm when you're out paddling. So next, these are some wetsuit socks. These are really good just to keep your feet nice and warm. And then these are the boots I use. These are Gull 5mm Duraflex wetsuit boots. These are super nice boots. They've got this Velcro strapping up here so you can strap them on nice and secure, as well as this bungee cord here that you can do up so you can make sure you can just get a really good fit with the actual boot. One thing I will say, and a complaint that I have with pretty much every wetsuit boot that I've tried, is they're so flimsy, the actual soles. I would really like to see a much stronger grip. Now I think they did advertise these as being like more durable than normal, which is why I bought them. But I would just like a much stiffer grip in these boots, because just when you're walking around it would just make things so much more comfortable. And especially with kayaking, usually you've got to walk somewhere, so these would just be useful to have those. These are pretty good though, they've got a pretty good grip, and they're good. Obviously they keep the water out really well unless you get the water above here. Wetsuit boots. And definitely a very useful piece of kit when you're kayaking is your spray skirt or your spray deck. This spray deck is really nice. I like it. It hasn't got any branding on it or anything. It's just a kind of off-brand spray deck. But it's great. It's just a big piece of neoprene that keeps the water out. Keeps you nice and cozy in your kayak. Nice pull tab on the front here. Yeah, really good. So there you are guys, that's the gear I use when I'm kayaking. If you're kind of new to kayaking, I hope this was maybe useful just to show you like some of the stuff that you might want to consider getting. I mean, obviously you're definitely going to want a PFD and a paddle and probably a wetsuit as well, but just some of the other stuff that might be useful for you. So that's it for today guys, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.